procreate, you could adopt, or you could say yes when the opportunity arises to accept one. That's how we got Marilyn. Let me tell you about Marilyn. Marilyn Adele Rosenfield was born in Detroit on December 11th, 1936, in the Women's Hospital. It was decided when she was 3 years old that she would go to a boarding school, the best that her wealthy family could find. And she attended there, and she would visit her family 2 weeks out of the year on vacation. Her mother would come to visit her, and she would bring candy and fruit when she came to visit. And she also got to visit her mother on her mother's birthday and meet all of her mother's friends. But Marilyn had her own friends too there at the school. They would go on picnics together. They learned to read and write together. And she would spend hours picking dandelions. She had some teachers that would teach her things all the way up to chemistry. And she had one teacher that would have all the students line up and copy things from the encyclopedia. And they learned absolutely nothing from that. But Marilyn was a fast learner, and she eventually learned knitting and embroidery. She learned how to fold laundry and iron. She learned shuffleboard, how to play canasta. She learned the Pledge of Allegiance. And she had a great memory. She always had a very willing and helpful attitude as well. When her mother and her mother's fourth husband moved to Florida, Marilyn also relocated, and she was 46 years old. There was a place there that she stayed that had a swimming pool. They also had an entire barn full of cats. They had dogs, they had a goat, they had a rooster. And there were 5 other ladies that lived there as well, with a wonderful friend named Jane Davis. In 1982, Jane called our church and asked if there was anybody who picked up people for Sunday services. That person was my mother. And so she and I, together on Sunday mornings, would get in the van and we would go pick up the Tanglewood ladies. We called them the Tanglewood ladies because that was the name of their neighborhood, Tanglewood. And we all got to know each other. My mom, every Sunday, picked up the Tanglewood ladies for 20 years. And Marilyn became a regular at the church. She became a member, and her smiling face was in the directory for decades. And Mom didn't just take them to church either. Marilyn was at my 4th birthday party, and Marilyn was at my sister's wedding. When my first child was born, Marilyn knitted the most beautiful blanket. And she also nicknamed my son. She called him her cutie pie. And when my daughter was coming along, she knitted another perfect blanket, and she called her her sweetie pie. Marilyn loved anybody that you loved. One day, Jane called my mom again, and she said, "I have cancer." And Marilyn had been taking care of Jane after her cancer surgeries, bringing her her medicines and comforting her. But Jane only had so much time. She visited some of those Medicare and Medicaid places, and she did not like what she saw. So she asked my mom if she had room. And my mom had raised 4 children. She did not know the things that Jane knew, but she said yes. And Jane told my mom she needed to open a bank account in Marilyn's name, and Marilyn moved into my sister's old bedroom. 2 weeks after Marilyn moved in, my mother's colon erupted, and she had emergency surgery, and she was fighting for her life. And guess who was there to help take care of her and bring her things and pick up things she wasn't allowed to pick up? It was Marilyn. Mom says that she thinks God spared her life for Marilyn's sake. And Marilyn put up with us. She was very patient, she never complained. The word to describe her was angelic. And the years flew by. Pretty soon, Marilyn had some hearing aids. She was 65 when she came to live with us, which was 9 years older than my mom. She got a walker, she got some compression socks. She was diagnosed with congestive heart failure. And every doctor's appointment and every specialist and every prescription, my mom was there taking notes and making files and explaining things to Marilyn. And she took it all in stride. She still wrote every one of us her kind letters in her bold cursive, letters full of sweet words, and stickers, lots of stickers. I really felt loved. And one day in 2003, Marilyn saw a purple dinosaur on TV. And the next week, she saw a purple dinosaur on the shelf in the grocery store, and she bought it for $14. She talked to Barney. And pretty soon she was writing her letters from Marilyn and Barney. And once we knew that she liked Barney, we sent her as many as we could. So not only did she have the original Barney Sr., she had Barney Jr. and baby Barney and cousin Barney and grandpa Barney and Barney Barrett and Barney Handsome and Barney Happy, Parker Barney, Barney Schimmelhorn, Barney Rosenfield, Barney Bennett, and Big Boy Barney. Barney's message just made sense to her. It makes sense, love. My mom was holding Marilyn's hand on October 26th, a few weeks ago, in the hospital at 1:30 a.m., and my mom was singing the Barney song. She was singing Jesus Loved Me, and Marilyn took her last breath while she was holding Barney Sr. My mom and Marilyn took care of each other for 17 years. And if you ever want to add someone to your family, there are a few ways to do it. You can be available, you can be receptive, and you can be open to love, because it might come from anywhere. It might come from a little girl from Detroit. It might come from a church lady in a church van. Or it might come from a purple dinosaur that sings about love and family.